Welcome back to Cryptos Are Us. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another Market Open stream. I know I'm a few minutes late, but I'm here to talk about some shocking things that are happening with Bitcoin behind the scenes. Things that you don't want to miss. Some really good things that you don't want to miss. So, let's talk about it, and let's talk about everything else that's going on today with markets and with crypto. All right, let's do it, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are starting out a day a little bit weaker, back to 86,000. This is kind of the same playbook as yesterday. We started out a day when Wall Street opened, it was red, and Bitcoin went down with it. Right now, there's extreme coupling with NASDAQ. So when Wall Street gets panicked, they sell off Bitcoin. They put on a lot of sell pressure on Bitcoin. Yesterday, like clockwork, as soon as the market bell, the closing bell rung, Bitcoin went right back up. That's why when I filmed my video last night, we were back up to 87.5, 87.6. We could see the very same thing happen today. So there are still a lot of people that are very panicked over what may be coming, a full-blown recession. A lot of people are still panicked about, the tariffs that are coming. Yesterday we got a little hint of it. Yesterday, of course, President Trump put 25% tariffs on all automobiles that are not produced in the U.S. So you could see today's headline, GM and Stellantis shares fall. And a lot of other automakers, same thing. They're going to be hit with 25% tariffs. Does that mean cars in the near future are going to be 25% more expensive immediately? Are dealerships and automakers just going to increase prices by, can you imagine? Cars these days aren't cheap at all anymore. Even if you get like a very basic car, let's say a Honda Civic at 25 or 30,000, now you slap on 25% tariff, you're talking about what, 35,000 immediately. You're pushing it up there. A $40,000 car gets pushed up to $50,000. A $50,000 car gets pushed above $60,000. Man, that's crazy if that happens. But the good thing is used cars will get more valuable immediately. Used cars will jump up 25% too. We'll see what happens over the next few months. Let's see how automakers actually adjust their pricing. That'll be actually kind of interesting to see what happens. Anyways, and then moving forward, obviously, we have another week before we have more tariffs coming, right? So this should be no surprise. Trump already said this. A lot more tariffs are coming, so markets are going to be rocky. That's just how it is. Okay. And yesterday, we had this incredible news that GameStop was going to get involved with Bitcoin. They rallied yesterday, but today they're dumping because rather than announce that they're going to buy, Bitcoin with their $4.6 billion of cash, they announced that they're going to issue debt to buy Bitcoin, which is normally fine for a company like MicroStrategy or Strategy. But for a company like GameStop, people don't want to hear that they're going to issue more debt and shares and so forth. So they are tanking today because of that news. But overall, like I argued yesterday, this is still good for Bitcoin, right? To get another major company to adopt Bitcoin, to put Bitcoin on its treasury is good. And maybe we're going to get some additional benefits, get those Wall Street bets, degens, to get them involved, get them into Bitcoin, maybe get someone like Roaring Kitty involved with Bitcoin. These are going to be major bonuses, right? But the point is we're getting more adoption. That's what we want. The more adoption, the more awareness, the more maturity, the more buying, the more removal of supply. These are all things that lead to greatness. More greatness. And yesterday, despite the fact we opened up and Bitcoin went down during the market open and during the market hours and then shot right back up, you may be thinking that, well, Wall Street sold off yesterday. They had to have, right? Well, if you look at the ETF outflow inflow, BlackRock still took in 108 million. So don't let yesterday fool you. Now we've had 10 consecutive days of inflow. We only had one fund yesterday, Bitwise, that had 18 million outflow. But guess what? BlackRock still secretly, it's not really secret when we could track it, but you have BlackRock and many of their whales that are still loading up. This is one of the things that's happening. If you're not paying attention, you don't know. If you're simply just looking at the price only, you would just figure, well, it's just bad. It's bad all around. It's not. There are a lot of people that are staying strong. There are a lot of people that are buying. There are a lot of whales and sharks and institutions that are buying back. And not only that, they are loading up. There are so many people that you don't even realize that are so bullish on Bitcoin and crypto. I saw this today, kind of incredible. We know that a lot of Congress people now hold Bitcoin and crypto, but look at this. South Korean government officials, 1 in 5 hold crypto. 1 in 5. That's a staggering amount, right? And I don't know about our Congress members or Senate members. I know a lot of them do hold crypto. They're probably not really open about it. I don't know if it's 1 in 5 though, because a lot of them are quite old. If they were younger, I would say, yeah, sure, but a lot of them are quite old. But it goes to show you, you just don't know. You don't know who holds crypto. And this is probably just the people that declared. There's probably a lot more people that haven't declared. Like, for example, I would still not be surprised if Peter Schiff himself holds Bitcoin. He publicly, he has to shame Bitcoin and Bitcoiners and troll Michael Saylor. But you just don't know. He could have a ton of Bitcoin. You just don't know at this point. And here's something else that's more staggering. This is what I really want to show you guys. So Glassnode, they do the homework. They show with proof, with facts. Whales that are holding more than 10,000 Bitcoin. So these are the big ultra mega whales. Okay. They have been accumulating a ton. Since March 11th, so we're not talking about like months and months ago. We're just talking about a few weeks ago. Since March 11th, they've added 129,000 Bitcoin. Just do the math. We're talking about billions dollars worth of Bitcoin in just a couple of weeks. So they must think that we have found that bottom, that capitulation point, that whatever we hit like 76 or that recent low, that was the turning point. 129,000 Bitcoin bought within 2 weeks by whales holding over 10,000 Bitcoin. That's a lot. Okay, so again, you can't dispute this. This is fact. Right? So I'm sure this probably includes the ETFs as well. But again, there are a lot of people, whales, institution buying behind the scenes. And you may be wondering, well, if there's 129,000 Bitcoin buying behind the scenes, why is Bitcoin's price not going up? Because they're doing OTC. They're doing it as secretly as possible. They wish Glassnode and others can't track this. They wish metrics didn't exist. Prior to these companies tracking, we didn't know. In previous cycles, we had no idea any of these things happened. We could only speculate that they were happening, and they were. But now we have all these companies with all these analytics that track all these wallets and movements, so we know for sure they are happening. So this proves that there are a lot of buying going behind the scenes. And this is going to amount to something. There's only so much Bitcoin to go around, but this is wealth transfer. You hear all the time on a grander scale. You always hear about wealth transfer, how the poor is getting poorer and the rich is getting richer. You hear that all the time about how the poor keeps losing out and the rich gets richer. This is how they're doing it. The rich continues to accumulate. They do not get fearful about conditions like this, macro conditions. They take advantage. They keep on buying while the poor gets panicked over, dips, and they sell out, and that's how the rich gets richer. And unfortunately, more and more of the supply is going to these large institutions. And that's not what we want. Bitcoin was created by the people for the people. That's why I keep sharing with you guys. Here's another fact. Bitcoin exchange supply hits 7-year low. Long-term holders dominate the market. That's awesome. A lot of you guys that's been with me, you guys have held through several years, several cycles. Some of you guys are short-term holders. I get that. But a lot of you guys are long-term holders. That's great. But the new whales, the ones that are accumulating like crazy, they're eating up so much of the supply so quickly because now they realize that Bitcoin is the best asset to hold. Finally, after all these years, they realize retail is right, and now they're playing catch up. Now they're buying as much as they can. I mean, this happened 2 days ago. BlackRock launched basically their ETF in Europe. But what I missed was this. Larry Fink was in front of, he was speaking at the World Economic Forum. And, I mean, he's just saying it right in front of people. He told people that basically all sovereign wealth funds should allocate 2 to 5% of their portfolio to Bitcoin. Just sovereign wealth funds, not even just like funds in general, not even just private or public companies, not retail investors, just sovereign wealth funds around the world. And if they simply adopted 2 to 5% of their portfolio to Bitcoin, Bitcoin would be at 500, 600, 700,000 each. That's just the sovereign wealth funds buying 2 to 5%. What about, someone just tweeted out, what about JEA, all the millionaires around the world that bought a little bit of Bitcoin? What about all the billionaires that bought a little bit of Bitcoin? What about all the public trade companies that bought a little Bitcoin? What about all the funds that bought a little Bitcoin? Bitcoin be well above $1 million each, and it's going to get there eventually. So people that think that you can't make any more money off of Bitcoin, that's not true. I mean, this is Larry Fink telling people, go buy Bitcoin. That's why they keep accumulating as much as they can right now. They're trying to do what they've been doing with all the other sectors, trying to dominate. But in this case, they're actually just revealing their playbook. Just not a whole lot of people are paying attention. That's really it. All right, last few things. Is the bull run over? In my opinion, no. In a lot of people's opinions, no, because a lot of people still think we're still going to hit 150,000, 200,000, 250,000. The bull run is not over just because we're going through what we're going through now. This is just a distraction along the way. So if you look at this, just like previous cycles, we have distractions. We have corrections. We have consolidations. There's always some reason for it. It could be technical. It could be a macro thing. Whatever the case is, we always go through it. And then we get a banana zone pump. That's how it works every single time. And Bitcoin gets bigger and stronger. And this is the only cycle that institutions started getting involved. And this is the only cycle where sovereign states like the United States is getting involved. So do the math. It's a much different cycle, a much bigger cycle, a much more significant cycle, a lot more important cycle too. Yeah, so. All right, what else? This is also pretty important. This relates to all of crypto. So the Senate and the House both agreed to overrule this one thing that the IRS declared in the previous administration, this broker rule that required even DEXs like Uniswap to send all these information of traders to the IRS to collect, tax revenue, which now they repealed. So they're going to send it to the White House to get the signature from Trump, which is good because DEXs, they don't have information. They don't have KYC information from users. If they had to collect it, they would basically all die. They would be SEX. They would be like Coinbase. There would be no point to using a DEX if they had to collect KYC information. So basically, they're repealing this, and that's a good thing. And SEC recently just said they're not going to govern decentralized projects. So if they're not going to, then the IRS shouldn't either. So that just came out. So that's a pretty big thing too. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Looks like Bitcoin coming up a little bit, 86.1. U.S. market. Not so bad compared to yesterday. NASDAQ was minus 400. Now it's only minus 80. GameStop is still doing horribly. Tesla's up. Coinbase barely down. Robinhood down a little bit. What's MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy down slightly. Today it could reverse and turn into green because yesterday was just horrible. GM is down 8%. I guess GM cars are not made in the U.S. Down 6%. Ford is down 3%. So more Ford cars is made here. All right, let's do some Q&A. G7 Films. Hey, George, do you think next year exchanges will put a cap on the amount of Bitcoin you can purchase each day or each week? You know what? That's an interesting thought. If Bitcoin on exchanges actually falls to a point where it's so low that there's not enough, they actually could do that. I've never even given that any thought, but I could actually see that happening. That's actually a pretty good point. Wait, why do I have this? Let's see. I really wish Bitcoin, PHNFN says, I really wish Bitcoin would just decouple from NASDAQ again. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that makes Bitcoin tied to NASDAQ. It's just the traders, that's all. Again, you got to take the bad with the good. You know, when those traders on Wall Street they get panicked, what do they do? They just like tend to sell off everything. They sell off Bitcoin, they sell off ETFs, they sell off everything, and then that's why Bitcoin and maybe not just them too. Bitcoin traders themselves, they're selling off because they play both, and that's the only reason why there's any kind of coupling. It's just the traders, but Bitcoin inherently does not have anything to do with NASDAQ or tech stocks. But on the flip side, when the markets are soaring and people are making boatloads of money, a lot of that money comes into Bitcoin and crypto too. So, it also helps. Have you seen the Caterpillar pickup truck? It's supposed to come out in 2025. I saw that. No one's going to be buying that. I don't even know why. I guess it's a cool concept for them to make, but I don't know. I don't know who's going to be buying it. People will continue to buy F-150s forever. So, or F-250s or F-350s. I don't know who's going to be buying a Caterpillar truck. I love my WRX. Man, they haven't updated WRX in a long, long, long time. Yeah, we might actually flip it into green. Look at NASDAQ. Now it's minus 31. We started the day at minus 100, and Bitcoin's coming back up. We actually could flip into the green today. Sometimes the markets fool you. Heath. What do you think about the Bamboo PS1? I just bought a PS1. It's a great printer. Um, and then I also bought a Bamboo A1 too. Me personally, I actually like the A1 better. PS1 definitely as aesthetically looks better because in enclosed box, you got the AMS sitting on top. It's all good. But um, It's harder to maintenance, and I don't know. I kind of like the openness of A1. A1 actually came out after the PS1, and you can mount the AMS on top, and the print size and speed on both is the same, and the A1 is like almost half the price. So you could buy like two A1s for the price of one PS1. Although most serious printers, like print farms, are just filled with PS1s or P1Ss. It's P1Ss. Heath, hopefully that answers your question. But you can't go wrong with either. And I'm under assumption now that Bamboo Labs, their printers are the best. Their 3D printers are the best. Am I streaming tonight? No. No, Kelly. I think I like my schedule where I'm going to be streaming in the mornings and I'm just doing recorded at night, unless there's like some major thing going on or Bitcoin's pumping or crypto's pumping. Tyler says CRO super bullish. You know what? After that Trump media ETF announcement, I gotta say that is actually pretty bullish for them to be the sole provider or issuer of many ETFs, which it came out of nowhere. So you could see they had a big pump after that. They're holding at least half the gains. That's a pretty good thing for them. Came out of nowhere. I'm really surprised that they were chosen to do that. Ferrari to increase price by 10% to offset President Trump's tariffs. Awesome. Maybe that means my Ferrari just gained 10%. You know, the only good thing about the tariff situation on autos is I really think all the used cars just increase in value by at least, 10 to 25%. Here's also the reason why I think that, because a few weeks ago I was at a dealership and I was talking to the GM, and he was looking for cars in auction. And he's like, you know what? I can't figure out why all these cars are being bought at such high prices. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, why do you think that? He's like, I can't figure it out. All these dealerships are buying all these used cars at prices that would make them lose money, because they're buying it above basically what they're worth. And if you were trying to sell it, in the open market, you would lose money. So then he's like, the only reason I think they're doing that is because they think the tariffs are coming. So they think that the car prices will go up. That's why they're buying all these used cars at exaggerated prices. And then I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, maybe. But that actually makes a lot of sense now if you think about it. These 25% tariffs on any car not produced in America, that's a whole lot of cars. 25% is a lot. A $100,000 car becomes $125,000. A $400,000 car becomes $500,000. Man, that's a lot. Dale says, I can't figure out who even drives anymore. Are you kidding? Everyone in the US? Unless you're not in the US, even if you live in a city, I think most people still own the car. Trevor asks, is there a scenario where you would own iBit? Um, I mean, yeah, if you wanted to diversify, let's say you had a whole bunch of money in your 401k or something, and you just had no interest in buying crypto or Bitcoin themselves, and you wanted exposure to Bitcoin, that would be a scenario where you would buy iBit. Or you have money in your brokerage account and you wanted to buy something that has exposure to Bitcoin, then you would buy a Bitcoin ETF, something like that. And MicroStrategy's up in the green today. That's good. Tesla is up today. Robinhood is up. Coinbase almost up. Things are flipping. Eric Snyder says, just bought a GMC AT4X truck. That's a nice truck. I love those AT4X or AT4 trucks. There's a few variants of it. Congrats. That's a nice truck. Will prices go up when Trump stops with the tariffs? Yes, but also he might not stop the tariffs. He might just be more lenient with the tariffs. That would also cause, I think you're talking about like prices of like crypto or stocks or markets. Yes. Heath, if you're using a Bamboo Labs printer, you have to use Bamboo Studio. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's awesome software. And you wouldn't want to use any other slicer software anyways. All right, guys. I guess that's it for today. It's not bad. We start out a little weak, but that's because the U.S. market's a little weak today. More tariff scariness. But you know what? There are a lot of things, shocking things, happening behind the scenes, and they're good. BlackRock is super bullish on Bitcoin. And you got a lot of whales buying crazy amount of Bitcoin behind the scenes. So you don't want to miss out. This is a wealth transfer happening right in front of your eyes. You don't want to miss out. Don't be fooled. So stay strong, stay focused, and stick with Bitcoin and crypto. All right? Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Probably tomorrow for Friday. Happy Friday. And I'll put out a video tonight. All right? Have a good one, guys. Take care.